Hello, welcome to Sophos XGS Firewall. Have to configure open the default IP address 172.16.16.444 and accept the agreement and create the admin password. With a special character, one uppercase, lowercase, and one number. It is mandatory. Select the continue offline configuration because you have to choose your IP DHCP range. Select the time zone according to your time zone. If you are in Asia or India, Calcutta, you have to select. Click continue. Again click continue. No need to change right now IP. Once it is configured, then you can reconfigure the IP address what you required. Network protection, if you want, you can enable, or later you can enable. You have to give the recipient email where you will get the notification, and encryption password for recovery or backup purpose. Always give a strong password. Maybe you can use the external mail server also. That time you have to give the mail configuration SMTP server detail if you are using external mail, or Sophos mail server automatically it will take. Click finish. Start applying configuration change, and it will take some 5 to 7 minutes. Now it is restarting the whole process. Yeah, it is rebooted. Now it again came the same at URL, and you have to give the username and password what you configure time you given. Now they'll ask the store master key, because for that, if you are restoring backup or any, in that time master key required, a part of the security key. Create the key. You can set up later this Sophos Central through. Also you can manage the firewall. Now go to network. All ports are there, 1 2 5 6 7 8 9, and 2 fiber port also there, where you can SFP you can put, and you can use a fiber port also, and one management port also there, and one USB for console port. Select the LAN port number 1. And you can edit the IPv4, what class you want and what subnet you want. I'm keeping 172.16.0 and 1, and subnet should be 255.255.255.0. And you can change in advanced setting in DNS, because the default DNS will be the default IP earlier one. Update the interface. Now you can give the new IP address in URL, so that you can restart configuring the other configuration, because IP address is changed. And you have to give the manual IP, because now DHCP will not work, because IP series is changed. After that you can now log in with the same credential. Again go to the network. Now port 1 line is 120.16.01. Now you have to configure the DHCP server. Edit the DHCP server, default DHCP server. Change that according to your IP address switch. Mine is 172.16.0.1. Then I started from 10 to 22.16.0. 240. Means you will get 230 IP in DHCP, and rest will be the static you can use. You have to use the DNS server your own. Give the primary DNS as a Google DNS or any open DNS you can use, so that if any DNS provider also any down any time, then at least the name server it will be able to resolve. Then you can on that default DHCP server. You can make multiple DHCP also. For multiple LAN. And here also DNS you can configure as a Google and other DNS or your provider DNS, ISP provider. Save and submit. Now DHCP, DNS, everything configured, interface LAN configured. Now you have to configure ISP WAN configuration. Default port is port 2 default WAN. You have to name it, or you can keep same. Whatever your provider, that name you can keep. If you have a static, you give the provider a static IP. If you have a PPOE connection, you can use the PPOE or you can use the DHCP. All three it will work in XGS and XG both. Give your gateway name also. If you want, if you have a multiple gateway and multiple WAN, then you give the gateway so that you can know which gateway is up, which gateway link is good. And when you are giving the static IP, you have to recheck it is correct subnet and correct IP and gateway. Update the interface again so that WAN port get configured. Now go to rules and policies, and whatever the policy is default you can delete if you are not using, and you can reconfigure or you can add your own policies. Why you delete? Because there is some default policy which you are not using, simply it will disturb. Which policy you want to keep in top? Can keep in top, move the policy, and default policy it should be in top, so that first once they hit from LAN to WAN it should go to the internet port. And if you want to keep the SMTP or SMTPS, zone open, you can keep, otherwise it will take no ID default. Now you want to create the web filter policy, you can add a policy. Give the web policy name, web underscore filter or any name, so that you can able to recognize in the rule and policies when you are editing and applying the policies. In default, all web traffic will be the blocked. You have to remove that, and what category you want, you can add, like bandwidth heavy browsing or any adult site or anything, you can just block. Game and gambling, all the policies are there. Whatever category you want, you can select and add, and keep the policy on rule and save. Go to the firewall rule, then you can add it. If you want rule name, you can change according to yours. Then go down, go to web filtering, select your web filter policies. Same way you can make the application policy also, and you can filter it that also. And scan your FTP for malware and HTTP to decrypt to HTTPS. Now you have to register the device also. What mail ID you given to the purchase time, that mail ID you have to use. That create a Sophos ID, or if you have, you will just log in and register the device. I am not registering right now, just I show you. And update all the firmware, latest firmware. Now it is 19.51 is showing, up to 19.5.3 you can update today's on date. I'm just booting the latest firmware, 19.5.1, after that 19.52, then 19.53. Now 19.52 came, that also I'll update. Now it is not registered, that's why it's saying free firmware, you can update up to 3 months. Now 19.52 is updated. Now 19.53 also there.